Chapter 4 and 5 are about the defensive investor. There are two kinds of investors, defensive investor and enterprising investor. First of all, let me differentiate between these two approaches. Enterprising approach is also known as active approach, and it requires lots of time and lots of energy. It is physically and intellectually challenging. Second approach, which is the defensive approach or passive approach, it requires a static detachment from the alluring hula baloo of the market, and it is emotionally challenging. So we'll talk about the defensive approach, and in the next video we'll talk about the enterprising approach or the enterprising investor. Okay, let's begin. Financial risk not only lies where most of us look for, that is economy and our investments, but also within ourselves. Keep your costs and emotions under control after you have picked a stock. Allocation to stocks and bonds has nothing to do with your age. It depends on the fundamental circumstances of your life. Example, married or single, children or not, job or self-employed, salary and spending needs. Have at least 25% in stocks and at most 75% in stocks. No matter how bad the market is, always keep at least 25% in stocks and never put more than 75% in stocks. So what about the rest of the money? The rest of the money you can keep in bonds and cash. People usually sell and stop investing when the market goes down. Few people have the guts to stick to stocks in a falling market. Once you set allocation to stocks and bonds based on your fundamental circumstances, change only when your circumstances change, not because market has gone up or down, and rebalance every 6 months on easy to remember dates like the Valentine's Day and Independence Day of India. 100% money in stocks will only make sense if you have set aside cash to support your family for at least 1 year and survived a previous bear market, did not sell stocks in the previous bear market, and you bought more stocks in the bear market. Then you can put 100% of your money in stocks. Otherwise, you should never put more than 75% in stocks, no matter what. Okay, so now let's move on to 4 rules for selection of common stocks for the defensive investor. Number 1, adequate diversification, minimum 10 stocks and maximum 30 stocks. Number 2, company selected should be large, prominent and conservatively financed. Number 3, long record of continuous dividend payments, at least 10 years. Number 4, impose some limit on the price investor will pay in relation to the average earnings over the past 7 years. The recommended price is 25 times the average earnings over the past 7 years and maximum 20 times the earnings of last 12 months. Don't pay too much for growth stocks. Either don't buy or buy at a reasonable price. During the interim period, the market value is bound to fluctuate, but that doesn't make it risky. When the market is at heights, people infuse too much money into the market, and when the market crashes, then people are scared of investing in the stock market. They run away at that time. There's a Turkish proverb, after you burn your mouth on hot milk, you blow on your yogurt. So that is what happens. But actually, crashing of market takes risk out of the market. So you should invest at that time. And the decision of whether to own stocks today has nothing to do with how much money you might have lost by owning them a few years ago. An investor who buys bonds with low yield for their supposed safety is like a smoker who thinks he can prevent lung cancer by smoking low tar cigarettes. Peter Lynch has said, buy what you know. Use the power of common knowledge. This is the advantage that amateurs have over professional investors. You develop a sense of what is good and what is not. For example, you know which cars are selling well, which cameras are selling well, and the most important part is you know it before the professional investors. But finding the promising company is only the first step. The next step is doing the research. Lynch says that never invest in a company, no matter how good its product is or how full its parking lot is, without studying financial statements and estimating its business value. For example, don't buy Starbucks stock just because people go to Starbucks every day. It's possible that its stock is more overpriced than its coffee. Investing in what you know, or more accurately, what you think you know, can also be very dangerous. For example, Enron's employees invested in Enron's stock, and everybody knows what happened with Enron after that. So when you invest in what you know, or more accurately, what you think you know, then home bias come into play. Home bias is habit of sticking to what is already familiar. Familiarity breeds complacency. Don't be lazy. Or you would also say, like the neighbor of a criminal after murder on TV news, oh, he was such a nice guy. Don't invest in only one stock or a handful of stocks. Own between 10 to 20 stocks. If you find yourself trading more than twice a year, something has gone wrong. A defensive investor runs and wins the race by sitting still. If you need help in picking stocks, you and no one else must investigate whether an advisor is trustworthy and charges reasonable fees. You should not delegate this responsibility to someone else. Invest in mutual funds on index if you don't want to do anything. The refusal of defensive investor to be active, renunciation of any ability to predict the future are his most powerful weapons. In conclusion, dollar cost averaging is the best method for defensive investor. For example, if you have 500 rupees, invest in 3 index funds. 300 rupees in one that holds all the stocks in the stock market, and 100 rupees into one that holds all the bonds in the market, and another 100 rupees into one that holds foreign stocks only. Graham says, following dollar cost averaging, you can beat the market in the face of Great Depression and worst bear market ever. This is the power of disciplined buying. And in this way, you won't have to worry about the hula baloo of the market. You can answer to every market question with, I don't know and I don't care. For example, if somebody says, have you heard of that stock which is doing this well? You can say, I don't know and I don't care, because you already have that stock in your index. Finally, the knowledge of how little you know about the future, coupled with the acceptance of your ignorance, is a defensive investor's most powerful weapon.